Hello, this is Saved by Grace, Not Works. And today I want to talk about Matthew 5, verse 17 through 19, which reads, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen, will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Therefore, anyone who sets aside one of the least of these commands and teaches others accordingly will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven." So when I hear the word abolish, to me that means ended, done away with, no more. And when I hear the word fulfill, that also has an ended connotation to it. If that's the case, then Jesus' statement would be, I have not come to end the law, but to end them. It doesn't make sense, and it makes me think that the word fulfill must have a different connotation. Based on that, I think the word fulfill would be better translated do or preach. That would make more sense. Because if you put the same meaning to both words Jesus is contrasting, then it makes the statement meaningless. In addition, for fulfill to have an ended meaning doesn't make sense with the statements that follow that make it clear the law actually hasn't been done away with. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen, will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. We're still walking on the same earth that Jesus walked on 2,000 years ago. It hasn't passed away. So that makes me think that not the smallest part of the law given through Moses has passed away. It also says until everything is accomplished. I don't think everything has been accomplished because there are still prophecies in the Old Testament that haven't occurred yet, specifically regarding Christ's second coming and messianic reign. It continues, "Therefore, anyone who sets aside one of the least of these commands and teaches others accordingly will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven." If Jesus is teaching us to ignore or disobey any commands, such as the dietary commands or keeping the Sabbath on the day God commanded through Moses, then by Jesus' own definition, he's the least in his own kingdom. If we interpret Scripture to say that Jesus himself disobeyed any of God's commands given through Moses, we have an even bigger problem, because Scripture defines sin by the law of Moses. Just one example of Scripture defining sin as the law of Moses is Paul in Romans 7, verse 7. "I would not have known what sin was had it not been for the law. For I would not have known what coveting really was if the law had not said, 'You shall not covet.'" Paul is quoting the law given through Moses here. So if Jesus broke the law of Moses, he sinned and is disqualified from being our sinless atonement. Also, because we know God is perfectly holy, if Jesus sinned, Jesus could not be God. Even if Jesus didn't break the law himself, if he taught others to disobey the law of Moses, that action of teaching against the law of Moses is described as sin in Scripture. Just one place that it describes it as such. That prophet or dreamer tried to turn you from the way the Lord your God commanded you to follow. You must purge the evil from among you. We obviously don't believe that Jesus sinned. We don't believe he taught anyone else to sin either. But we have heard people inadvertently teach just that. We need to keep these principles in mind as we're reading the Gospels and epistles, especially Paul's writings. We hope we gave you something to think about. This is Saved by Grace, Not Works, and I'll see you next time.